Live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Get to it, Weekend Warriors. The Weekendology podcast has returned to jumpstart your weekend entertainment. This is the only podcast with the hottest takes, the best talking points, and the stories to spark your weekend conversations. We're covering all the best topics from music, movies, sports, food, and more. And I'm your host, Will Deichley, alongside the one and only Aaron Berg. Aaron, what's going on, bud?
I'm pumped.
You are pumped? What are you pumped for?
Baseball episode today.
Woo!
And the MLB draft is going on currently as we record this, day 2.
That's true, yes.
And my boy, Spencer Torkelson, number 1 pick of the draft. So
well, that's
shout
a
out
name.
Spencer.
Spencer Torkelson.
Hitting torque bombs.
Is he a pitcher?
He is not. He's third baseman.
He's
Arizona State University.
Well, just going to throw this out there. Baseball is not my forte. We were planning on having an extra guest onto the podcast today, but he is currently occupied with other stuff. So he was the baseball aficionado, but I'm going to
whoa.
I'm going to refer to you
as
our resident expert to today's episode.
I'm like Tim Kirkchin. You know, I didn't play baseball, but I know about it.
So. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, sure. So you're a couch quarterback or armchair quarterback, is that what they call it?
Yeah, I guess you could call me
couch coach.
Be like a couch chair couch chair manager. That's what I'll call it.
Well, awesome. Well, we want to thank everybody who's returning, listening, and joining us for another week of the show. We want to also welcome anybody who's new to the show. This show is all about changing, improving, and making things better.
Making the world a better place.
Making the world a better place, because we all need the world to be a better place, especially now. But we cover all the best topics from around the pop culture and the sports world. We're collaborating with Colin Kessler and the Big Red World Podcasting Network. Go check them out. They've got good podcasts like The House That Rick Built and 6 Drunk, 1 Sober. They're on Twitter at Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well at Weekendology Pod and wherever you listen to podcasts. Drop us a line, show us your support, and maybe suggest some ideas on things you want to see changed in the world. Don't forget to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It actually does help us get noticed, and we really do appreciate the positive feedback.
Trying to catch Joe Rogan.
We are trying to catch Joe Rogan, so...
Any little bit helps.
Yeah. It's the small victories till we get up to the $100 million Spotify deal, so... We're on our way.
It's only $20 million.
Yeah,
just that.
We'll be okay. Don't forget to browse our last episode as well, where we talk about music and concerts returning. The link for that will be in the description below. And as the last couple weeks, we're continuing our sponsorship with Lionfish Promotions. If you or your business are in need of some cool swag to give out to employees, clients, or even build your brand of your business, Lionfish Promotions has you covered. They offer literally every kind of item from pens to notebooks, cups, mugs, t-shirts, and more to be branded with your own personal logo. They also are partnering with a couple companies with personal protective equipment, so they have a pretty fast response time of 24 hours. So if you need gloves, masks, or anything else, feel free to hit up Lionfish Promotions. They can be found at www.lionfishpromotions.com. Use the code WEEKEND for 10% off of your first purchase. And tell them that we sent you, and you'll get a nice little bonus. So
yeah, and you can get all your Weekendology merch there.
You can. Maybe that's a hint for Weekendology merchandise coming sometime down the road.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
We're just saying. So, but yeah, go check them out. They're pretty cool. So we're happy to
they're pretty
sponsor
cool,
with them. It's pretty sweet, I guess. So. But yeah, Aaron, you said it before. We're talking about baseball today. It's finally time for the wheels to start turning for sports to come back. A lot of the leagues have put plans in motion.
We're only in midsummer.
Exactly, yeah. It's June 10th as we record this. And is it June 10th or 11th? I don't even know what the days are anymore.
Does it matter anymore?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. But
what is it? It's June 11th.
It's June 11th right now.
Not that matters.
I've lost track.
It doesn't even matter if it's a week or a weekend at this point. We got to change our name because no one cares about the weekend anymore.
Exactly. Every day is the weekend, apparently. So.
Yeah, that's a great outlook.
Every day is the weekend. But sports leagues are starting to put plans in motion to come back. The NBA laid out a plan to come back. NHL is looking to do the same. Football already had their plan. They're probably going to go on without scheduled anyway. But
too much money.
Yeah, they got too much money at stake.
It's the NFL. They can't be losing any money.
No.
They lose money. They're like, no, we're going to do anything we can to get on that field.
But the one league that is struggling to put something in motion is the MLB. We're in June now, and usually should be about 3 months into the season at this point.
We're like a month away, give or take.
Yeah.
A month away what the All-Star break would be for the MLB.
We're almost halfway point.
It's incredible.
We still haven't gotten a full solution as to how the MLB is going to come back. And neither do the league nor the players know exactly what's going to happen. So there's a lot of proposals, and they seem to be pretty far apart, and it looks like a strike might happen with everything. So we're exploring the topic of, can the MLB salvage a season this year at all? And our resident expert, Aaron Berg, is here to break it all down. So, Aaron, do you want to run through kind of like what the proposal is first, and then we can kind of go off from there?
Yeah, so it's been really hard to follow, for me at least, because it's every day it changes. The most recent proposal, I believe, is the 89-game season?
Yeah, so they proposed something on June 9th. The Players Association is making a proposal for around like an 89-game season.
Right.
It would be a full prorated share of the salary with expanded playoffs, and it would bring the sides closer to a deal that is like, give or take 25 games under what the last union offered.
And so that one did get rejected, which everyone
of course it did.
Knew it would. And it's just been back and forth. And it's funny though, because Colin Cowherd, who I just
Colin Cowherd, I can't stand him.
I love him so much. No, he's an idiot, but I watch his show because I don't know. I'm like Democrats who watch Fox News. You know, they always say
just for the entertainment and everything.
Well, you know how they always say Fox News is a highest rated newscast in the world,
because
or whatever.
It's pure jokes.
Yeah, and it's like it's because it's half people who listen to it and they're like, yeah, and then the other half are like, I'm watching this because it's so ridiculous. That's how I look at Colin Cowherd.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, like
I agree
half
with that.
And he admitted it himself today. Like half the people who watch him love him, and the other half watch him because how stupid his opinions
But he's still getting views, so
right, and that's what I mean. He's the Fox News of the sports world. We're like, he's not.
That's a good one.
He's not like, spouting his opinions, and he doesn't get people watching him because he's so knowledgeable. He's doing it because like he's so out there with his stuff, and he goes out on these limbs that you almost got to tune in because you're like, okay, what's he gonna say now? And like,
exactly,
how much am I gonna disagree with that? So today, when I was watching him, he had a prediction that it's gonna be between a 75 and 80 game season, and it's gonna be announced by Saturday.
Wow, that's pretty quick.
No, that's not gonna happen. Like, I keep seeing these reports, and they're like, "Oh, they're close. They're close." They've been saying that for a month. They're not close. My prediction: they're going to lock out. It's destined.
I think that's probably true because when it comes right down to it, it seems like the players and the league are splitting hairs over a couple $100 million. Which, yeah, that's a lot of money. But when you're getting paid odds of 60, 70, 80, $100 million a season per person, you're really, you're passing on $10 million or something?
And it's not even about the money anymore. It's really become, I want to be right, and my side's going to win. And that's what I find the saddest part of this. And I think, with the theme of change is the sports in general needs to change how they do things, and they need to take a lesson right now from the MLB. And this has happened before. We've seen it with lockouts for all kinds of leagues. But I just think right here it's perfect because you have the Korean Baseball League in full swing. See what I did there?
That was a good one.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll edit in the
there you go.
type of thing.
And but yeah, so they're playing, and they're getting all the TV time at 3 a.m. and all the coverage. And I'm just thinking, man, if they they can figure it out. And I know it's different. I get it. It's not as big of a business, but it's showing such an ugly side of sports. And for a league that's already fighting lacking viewership. Viewership's going down every year. Attendance is going down. There's marketing issues. It's got all this criticism. There's issues with trying to speed up the game, and
right.
There's issues with even that Rob Manfred isn't running the league as well as he could have, and that he's looking kind of like same criticisms that Roger Goodell gets. He's kind of all over the place with how he runs the league. So I just think with that amount of criticism, now is the time to get something right, get this figured out, and start playing. Because, like you said, you're splitting hairs here, and you're only losing money as the year goes on. So ultimately, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you're going to carry this just so either the owners get money or the players get money. And I just think at the end of the day, these guys need to come together and just say, hey, we're one team. Let's go out there and play.
It really seems fruitless to continue on with like this debate that we're having, or even the arguments that they're having of not being able to find an agreement, because it's pointless in the end. The Players Association said that they're willing to play the 82-game season at a full prorated share of the players' salary. So, like, I don't see what the issue of that is if they're going to play whatever X amount of games.
Yeah.
Play at the prorated rate for whatever they would make in the year, and then just be done with it. Go play. Give the fans what they want is baseball. And that's you're not playing the whole full 162-game season, so you're not going to get paid for that. But I think that's what the players think that's what's going to happen.
And I understand. I get it. I understand how this looks. I don't have a side here. I really don't, because I'm a baseball fan. Baseball is one of my favorite live events to go to. And
really, live events?
Oh yeah, it's way better live than on TV. Way better.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's...
Well, okay.
There's the whole social aspect that goes into it.
Let me preface this by saying regular season, because it's different. Regular season is relaxed. It's hang out outside. It's, it's cool because it's still entertaining to watch, but at the same time, you can kind of chill out. It's hard to chill out at like a hockey game or a basketball game because it's so fast.
There's constant action going on.
Yeah, and you kind of know when it's going to end, whereas baseball, it's like, might be a long day and you can just go hang out in the nice weather. Playoff baseball, I think that's one of the best playoff atmospheres because it's so tense. Anything can happen. And it's more, baseball finally gets a little more serious and gets a little more nerve-wracking, whereas a regular season
I can't do baseball. Like, for me, I don't mind going to games and just like...
How can you do soccer then? You put me on a tangent here. I need to get this answer.
I can do soccer just because, one, I like looking at like the tactics of it, and I'm sure baseball fans like to do that as well. They can get into like the nuances of it, but
I know what you're saying though, because it's a lot of standing around.
Yeah, from a purely free flow action standpoint, soccer never stops. Baseball is just like, all right, I'm gonna stand here.
Well, soccer stops when guys fake injuries and roll around the ground like they get shot. So
yeah, that's true. I will. I'm not.
No, I think baseball. You watch it differently. You know, and that's why I like it so much personally. Especially having not played it, I'd probably watch it differently than the guy who played the sport because I still don't understand the technical stuff. But as a fan who's just watched it since I was 8. I think I like it because it's so different and because it's not as intense all the time, but that's what's cool about it because it can get intense and it's almost like theater where it's like, it's very up and down and then there's this big dramatic moment
there are a few pretty explosive moments that are
but it's not like the whole game, so when those moments come, you don't take it for granted. You're locked in when that happens. Yeah. So that's why I like it. But,
so do you think like the players or the owners having a problem trying to come to an agreement with an already really lucrative situation, is it hurting the league or is it helping the league?
No, it's 100% hurting it. It's showing, like I said, it's showing the ugliness of baseball and sports in general. And I think the worst part about it too is the players want to tell the fans, hey man, we just want to play. If you just want to play, get out on the field.
Accept the prorated rate and just go play then.
And so I understand, I get it, where they're coming from, because their argument is, listen, it's a long season. I don't want to sacrifice my body, my time. It's a huge sacrifice on all these things. I get it, totally understand. People make fun of baseball and be like, oh, you sit out for a blister, or you sit out for pulling a hammy. Football players don't do that. Like, it's such a long season. That is a lot of wear and tear in your body.
Yeah.
Especially pitchers. Think about that. Think of how many guys get Tommy John surgery now, or torn labrums,
reconstructed elbow.
Right. Like, I mean, they're doing long-term damage just like any other sport. It's just different. But I just think if you're gonna stand on that hill and say we just want to get out there and play, then go do it. Like, why are you splitting hairs?
Yeah.
And for the owners, it's a business, and people need to understand. And I'm not siding with the owners here. I'm Switzerland here, but like the owners, I get it. They're billionaires. They have all the money in the world. That sounds like, well, why can't you just pay the players? The thing is, they're business owners. Like they treat these teams like any other company they own. So I just think people need to remember that and think, okay, but they're going to fight for every dollar they can get. Is it right in the end? No, because, hey, man, you own a team that isn't going to make you a lot of money. If you're going to trying to make the most amount of money you can, go own a car dealership. Like,
it's not like there's not any incentive for them to play the season too, whether it be 75 game or 82 game or 50 game or whatever.
What's the difference at that point?
They're still going to play. There's a pretty big prize pool that's associated with the playoffs too, upwards of $200 million if they play like around the 75 to 82 game season,
right?
And it's guaranteed to not have the postseason go past October 31st. That's the same time as when the postseason would end anyway, so they don't have to play into the winter or any longer and have a shortened off season for next year.
Well, I don't really see I mean, I guess that is the point, is the shortened off season. They want their fair share of off season.
There's no risk of that.
Yeah, I don't really see like weather wise. I mean, they're going to play in a warm climate.
Well, it's not like they're playing in December or something,
right?
And they have the shortened off season. So the schedule remains the same for the off season as to when this season ends. It's just a condensed version of it. It seems to be a lot of greed that's associated with the players.
It's greed. Yeah, that's the main thing.
I would say they're both probably at fault, but I don't really know.
They definitely are both at fault because they could just say, all right, we're playing. And that's the number one thing that bugs me about this is all these sides want to act like, hey, we do it for the fans. No, you don't.
It's a business in the end, and it's always going to be it that way.
Yeah, and I think now especially, like, people knew. But, you get some, maybe kids who believe that, no, they really do it for you. Now they're showing their true colors.
Do you think Bryce Harper really cares? Like,
hey, whoa, watch how you rip on Bryce Harper there.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's probably like one of the more top tier players in the league.
Right.
The difference in what he would get paid is negligible.
Yeah.
In the long term, instead of just getting out. So, like, he should make the choice to just go play, take the less money, set the example, and continue to grow the sport, because baseball struggles at times in growing the sport.
Oh, they've done a terrible job at growing it.
And if you
or at least
take a
marketing
off,
the league, I should say.
If you take a season off and it's due to, pandemic, external circumstances, people understand that. But if you take a season off because you couldn't come to an agreement for a couple $1 million, that puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. It did for NHL when two lockouts in 4 years or something, and they lost a ton of fans and viewership and everything.
I was one of them. I mean, I wouldn't say I lost my fandom, but I definitely became less of a fan after 2004.
Yeah,
because I was like, well, this is, even as a kid, I saw what it came down to, and it kind of opened my eyes to what a business this truly is. And I think already you're dealing with this culture in sports of such a lack of loyalty now with teams, where guys, they just want to get paid more. They don't care who will pay them. They'll go to them. You're not going to get Joe Mauer anymore, who's going to turn down an offer from the Yankees to stay in his hometown. That's just, those days are over.
Right.
Which I think that alone hurts the league and just hurts that perception, for everyone. And I'm not saying, I get it. Guys got to get their money. It's business. We know that. But come on, like, the way it's been now and the way this has been carrying on, I mean, I understand at the beginning of the season that makes sense to, hey, we got to, make this fair. But it's been going on for 3 months now.
It's getting kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it took the NHL so long to recover from that. And they've had to, they made good strides in that meantime. But I mean, you take one season off, it's better to have some games
And
played.
why wouldn't that happen to the MLB? Because you think about it, the NHL had to deal with, being kind of a niche sport because it's not popular in warm climates, and they had other hurdles. They had marketing issues,
Hockey
things like
is
that.
one of the more difficult sports to grow because it's so minute in how you can play the sports. And
you almost got to be like
equipment,
play it or be from an area where people play.
Exactly. Baseball is easier because you can play it outside. You can form your own diamond. Kids have easier time playing it as
But with
growing up.
baseball, I feel like they have their own hurdles where people are complaining the game's too long. There's too many games in the season.
They've always been
there's no exciting players. Just there's these hurdles and that's what I mean by comparing it to the NHL is you already had all these hurdles working against you. Now you're going to toss.
Why add to it? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a huge hurdle where I really don't see why people wouldn't just say, screw it. Why am I waiting around for this?
And
it's not the NFL. They can't afford. The NFL could afford to do this, and people will come back and watch it because it's football in America. Baseball, they don't have that luxury.
So there's been talks of shortening the season because I think it is too long. 162 games is quite a slog through. If they do play this shortened season, could it set a precedent to say, okay, we can get through a shortened season? Would that become more of a possibility to make it permanent throughout?
No.
Like instead of playing 162, you play 100 games.
No, because of money. They'd lose out on money, and that's all it comes down to. And that's why they have 162 games because, hey, it can make more money and more chances to watch, more tickets to sell. It's ridiculous though because I agree with you that as a fan, I don't watch the first couple months of the MLB season.
I don't watch until August or late July.
I mean, well, look at it. We both like the Cardinals. Cardinals, the year they won World Series in 2011, they didn't really pick it up till August.
Yeah,
that year.
It was mid-August is when they started getting hot.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's time to start watching baseball now because playoffs are around the corner.
Right,
so.
and I just think that's, whereas like football, you got to watch that from week one because if you lose your first couple games, you're done.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is the cool part about baseball is because you can come back, but yeah, I think you could cut that. You could cut it in half and be okay.
So do you think sports are on the cusp of having their bubble burst in the sense of there's so much money being put into the games now. Mm-hmm. Players making hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars. Contracts are, through the roof and everything. Are players wanting too much? Are they overpaid now? What I think is after we see, the pandemic when sports come back, teams are going to face a loss already. So it's gonna dilute the value of the players, and they're gonna say, okay, well, we can't pay you that much. Nobody can. Right. So the market's going to decrease in the value of the player contracts and team valuation and everything. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's fair to say, or do you think it's going to go back to where it was before?
I think it all depends on how they can get this done. If they can wrap this up and get back out there, I think the contracts will continue, and I don't think they'll have huge, losses of fans. I think if they lock out, definitely though, the bubble will burst. If they don't play this year, I think a ton of fans will leave because I think people are just getting tired of it and getting tired of.
Bryce Harper's not going to demand a $200 million contract or something. Right. I think there's no way that they can afford him.
Yeah, and I just think. I think it's gotten to a point where it's reached. I'm sure they've said this 25 years ago when, guys are making $15 million a year. I was like, whoa, that's unheard of. And now they're making over $30 million a year, and it's unheard of. But, it's just, I don't want to say these guys are overpaid because I'm not on that bandwagon. But I think sports in general, and especially baseball, needs to be careful because you have. It's so much money being tossed around and everything looks good. It looks like, business is booming, but stuff like this happens and, it's costing these teams money. It's costing the owners money.
It almost makes me think baseball is one of those sports where a lot of their eggs are put in one basket for one player. Mm-hmm. With we're going to give, a super mega contract for 10 years or whatever.
But that's sports in general. The NBA does that now.
Yeah, which has started to gravitate towards that trend of okay, we can put all of our money into 1-2 players and then build. I mean, build around that player, obviously, but it's so much money that you put into one, and it makes me feel like, well, you could use $300 million to put a pretty damn good team together instead of just an okay team with one superstar.
That's what the Oakland A's did.
I don't know. I'm more of the pragmatic approach when I come to building teams.
I mean, I
guess if you got the money, then
sure. I mean, it depends, because you look at like what the Nationals did. I mean, they spent their money on Scherzer and Strasburg, and look,
that didn't pan out. So
it did. They won the World Series.
No, I said it did pan out.
Oh, I thought you said it didn't.
No, that panned out.
You said that like so, so like demoralized.
Oh. I don't like the Nationals. So.
That panned out. Well, better than the Astros winning.
Yeah,
better than cheating your way to a World Series.
Well, that's true.
But yeah, I think. But then you look at the teams like the A's or, even the Cardinals. They do that where they go through their farm systems. They build their teams more locally. They don't shell out all this money like the Angels do, where it's like they'll shell out all this money and then they never make the playoffs.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's interesting, but there's different ways you can do it, and I think ultimately they'll be okay if we can get this done. But yeah, I think that bubble is definitely on the cusp of bursting and not going back anytime soon.
I think there's a lot of conversation about how the owners approach it too, because I mean they own the team obviously, and they work hard, but there's a lot of contradiction as to should the owners be paid more or should they cut the salaries of some of the players. Do you think that they're treating the players fairly for the hard commitment that they put in?
Yeah,
should the owners be given more?
It's so tough. Like I know I'm gonna sound like I side with the owners, and I don't. And I know the owners are seen as evil, and I just.
Yeah, there's always a bad connotation.
Yeah,
with sports
but it's because it's easy to. It's like people hate CEOs. It's the same thing. People hate the boss. They just always hate who's in charge.
I'll just throw it out. I'm not a huge fan of like sports owners. I think there should be more equality amongst or parity down the lane. But
yeah, but I mean, how do you build the team? How do you build the brand? You know,
sometimes players are prima donnas and think they're self-entitled.
I just think it's so easy to pick at the owners because, like, well, they're billionaires, they can afford it. But people need to remember, if the team loses money, I mean, if the owner loses money, the team's going down. So, like, I mean, look at the teams that are the most successful. They have these big time owners, and look at the teams that aren't, and they are owned by like these families and. And they're cheap, and like I just think the players to be complaining about the owners, most of the ones that have the big money owners, they're getting paid well. The ones that don't I mean, you look at situations like the A's where they have the 8th richest owner in the league. He didn't even want to pay their minor leaguers until people finally like caused a ruckus,
and then
that's bad.
That's pretty bad.
I'm with people on that where it's like, come on, you gotta look at your whole organization. And I do think that is one thing the owners need to be checked on, is they need to treat their minor league system better, because there's no other sport that uses the minor league system like baseball does. Baseball pulls those minor league guys from AA and says, hey, it's September, come up and play.
Do you like how the minor league is run for the MLB?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I really like it because you need to pay attention to the minor league, and I like it because other leagues, like basketball, you don't really need to know who's on the G League team. Like those guys could get called up, but they're going to be like end of the bench. Baseball, you can call up a guy who's a pitcher, and he could be a great pitcher for the playoffs.
I think there's more like positional strategy when it
comes
to baseball. That's what I was
going to say. Yeah. But I think that's why the owners really need to take another look at themselves, and rather than looking at, we're abusing the 40-man roster guys, like the real dudes on the field, they need to look at guys in single A, guys in double A, triple A, all the way through, all the way down, because those guys you draft and the guys in your organization, like, sure, I get it. You don't want to make too much of an investment of a guy who he might get hurt. He might just not be as good the next year because that happens. Baseball is such a mental game. Guys just have a good year and then they can't recover from that. I mean, we see that guys will throw,
hugely mental.
Guys will win MVPs or throw a perfect game and then you never hear about them again. But I just think the flip side of that, look at Max Scherzer. Look at Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
Steven Strasburg, I guess that's a bad example. But Max Scherzer, those guys are good in the minors, and it takes a little longer for them to break out. And so I think the owners really need to pay attention to that and look at paying those guys more and investing more, because then you're going to get those players investing into their organizations more.
So what should they do? Should one side give in? Should the players say, okay, we'll take the cut, or the owners say, okay, we'll take the cut? Or
I think it's so close right now
because it's getting to the point where it's just like, all right, make a decision.
Right.
Like
I think
get off the pot,
I think the owners. That's funny.
It's a family friendly show, so I can't say the other thing. So
are we family friendly?
Okay, kind of, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
This episode we are. We're talking about baseball, so
this one's G-rated.
Yeah.
I would say the owners can give in just because they can afford to. And like I said, I don't want to sound like, the owners are rich, they can do whatever. But it's gotten so close now. The owners need to just say, all right, players, you win. We do your BS hey, we care about you. We care about the fans. Go on that whole deal and do the PR thing and look good, because they can. The players can afford to also. They are splitting hairs at this point, but I just think it's a great opportunity for because the people will believe that the players want to just play baseball. They'll believe that. So the owner, and people are always going to say, those owners are so evil and they're rich and they just, want to abuse their players and blah, blah, blah. Just the owners need to say, all right, hey fans, we care. We're back out on the field. Hey players, we gave you what you want. Now go perform. Gotcha, and that way I just think everyone's happy.
I would hope they would come to an agreement. What's the average salary for a MLB player? It's a couple $100,000.
I don't have that on me.
It's not like any of
average salary.
Yeah, or the lowest salary, you think?
Or the lowest, yeah, it's
minimum.
I'd probably say $300,000.
Okay, so it's not like these guys are hurting for money or anything, where a reduced cut for their salary would really be okay, yeah, I'm struggling here or something.
Oh no! Minor leaguers, yes,
yeah.
But guys in the MLB,
they're not hurting for money. Just come to an agreement.
I'm not going to say all of them,
field.
Because I'm sure there's that one guy out there. It's I'm a career minor leaguer and I just got called up. Whatever. Most of your run of the mill, guy who's been in the MLB for 5 years, he's sticking there. He's making $1 million a year. He's fine.
I hate when it comes to certain things like this, like potential lockout scenario with not just baseball but with sports in general.
Mm-hmm. I
feel like it shows that the game is more about money and the game is more about a business side than the actual passion.
When you're not working, that shows me you would rather fight about how much you make rather than just go make money.
Yeah.
You could be just go making money and playing baseball and doing everything you say you want to do.
You miss out on a whole year of your career then. So you get rusty and your skills are a little bit bad.
That's like you asking, hey, I want a raise at work, and your boss is like, no, and you're just like, all right, well, I'm just not going to work and just
deal with it.
Yeah, I'm just not working, and then the company says, okay, we're not going to pay you, and you say, fine, until you give me that raise. I'm just dealing with it. That's stupid. The mentality is so dumb.
It's a bad mentality, and it sets a really bad example for just sports in general, and for other people who look at the sport trying to get into it. If all the MLB fans are casual fans, they go to 5-6 games a year or something, maybe less. I go to 1 game a year if I'm lucky. And if I'm okay, I'm looking for a sport to get into more, MLB clearly not happening because they're too greedy, can't come to an agreement, or can't figure it out. So I'll go to a different sport. That's it.
Yeah, definitely.
It puts a really bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths, and probably a lot of players.
The other thing that what do you think about this? Do you think that because Korean baseball is up and running and doing fine. I guess.
I see a lot of things on these notes of our Korean baseball. So
yeah,
hit me with the questions here.
They're the only one that has figured it out, and it's so funny to me how like ESPN has fully embraced that because like, hey, it's sports. There's a couple like former MLB guys in it though, so it's kind of
really.
Yeah, I was watching it the other day, and yeah, I saw a guy and I recognized him. Like, hey, I haven't seen him in like 4 years, but yeah, there's a few like. That guy was good that 1 year, those type of dudes. But do you think if this continues, guys will just skip and just say, hey, I'm going to go play over there or just join another league? I'm sure there's other foreign leagues out there.
Why not? I mean, I think that's what some of the NBA players do.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert was talking about it. I don't feel comfortable coming back to the NBA, so I'll just
the
go
guy
play
who gave the league coronavirus.
Pretty much, yeah. He started the whole thing. A lot of hockey players do that too, though. If they, don't like what the contract is here in America with the NHL, they'll go play in Russia or they'll go play in Sweden.
That's what was funny too. A lot of them got stuck in Russia, and when the NHL started back up, they're like, "Ooh, I'm on a contract over here. I can't get out of it."
But yeah, I don't know if they would really see an influx in Korea, so to speak,
or just any foreign Japan.
Yeah, I would say Japan or
South American
Mexican leagues or anything like that. Yeah, of course, why not? Because if you don't have a family and you look at your young player, you're not getting your fair shake here or playing time or money or whatever it is. Why not go abroad? Sometimes you can even get better experience playing abroad and come back when you're better or the league sorted itself out. And then
I just could see and I'm not talking about the Mike Trouts of the world or Bryce Harper, or Machado. I'm not talking about those guys, but like just your run of the mill, decent guy, a pitch hitter kind of guy. Those type of people. Why not? Like, just
you got nothing to lose. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'd get out of here. I don't know how that works contractually, so I might be wrong about this. Not a sports agent.
Yeah, in an ideal, scenario.
Yeah, but if it's possible, I could see them just saying, "Hey, I'm getting out of my contract and going to play." Because if they lock out, like, do you want to sit around a year and get rusty and like?
No way.
That's another year off your career, so you're 1 year older, like especially as a pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'd go play anywhere, and I just think that's a real problem for the league because your rising stars or your role players, for that matter, who make your teams better, could jump ship, and it's like, well, you could have kept them.
Lose. So, and I think if you really want to truly grow the game too, you have to grow it internationally and allow players to go play. And it's good that there's a lot of international leagues that are forming with Japan or Korea or South America or wherever it is. And I think it promotes competition, and it's going to take stock of like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't be swindling our players over a couple bucks or holding out for splitting hairs on this. So
I just, even if the money was a wider gap than it is now, I just still think that's what needs to change for baseball specifically, because of the trials and tribulations they've had with marketing and all that stuff, but also just sports in general. And I think another point I want to make is the UFC and looking at that and how we have John Jones, who told Dana White, I'm not going to fight here because he wasn't paying him. He wasn't putting him on the big cards.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest fighter of all time in John Jones. Yeah. You have Conor McGregor, who he just retired. That's his third retirement. Who knows if it's real, but he did. So you never know, though. He might have, and his reasoning was more he just got bored, but I think it was money influenced as well. Jorge Masvidal, same thing. You have these huge stars. I mean, those are the big three, I think, and I think I'd say that's top three right now in the UFC who left because of money and because Dana White is trying to, be cheap. And I just think that's a lesson too, where these owners, these commissioners, these leaders need to look at that and really see that you're hurting your league by trying to get the most you can money-wise. And it's like, how about you just be grateful for having these guys
getting paid millions
and
of
this
dollars
is where I will side with the
play
players.
Sport. Yeah.
I will side with the players on this, especially for UFC. You are sacrificing, and talk about a league that pays terribly until you are a superstar pretty much. It's either you're a superstar and you make millions, or you're a run-of-the-mill guy and you make absolutely nothing and you still get brain damage. Like, I just
still get brain damage too.
Yep, that you at least get out with something. But I just think that's a lesson that these sports need to look at and see. The UFC will be hurting, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this now, just like my boy Colin Cowherd. They're gonna that's a cautionary tale right there. They are losing their huge stars, and they're in turn going to lose a ton of money because they want to win. You know, the owner and Dana White or commissioners and whoever, the leaders in all these sports want to win so bad and want to be right and want their way or the highway that, dude, you're losing money because you're not going to get the viewership you got without Conor McGregor, the highest grossing pay-per-view fighter of all time, with John Jones, the best fighter of all time, one of the most intriguing fighters of all time. I mean,
so like what happens then for other sports? Does the NBA look at it and say, okay, you know, we're not going to do what the MLB is doing, or do the owners say, hey, we deserve something more, we deserve something better, or
I think
same with the NHL?
I would say if the owners were smart, they need to look at the MLB and say, you know, we need to work more together with the players. We can't be our side against yours, and because this is going to happen, and then there you go, lockout again, and especially for the NHL and the NBA, their lockouts are very recent. So I think, you know, they can't run any sort of risk of a strike or a lockout at all. So I think the owners need to take that into consideration, and the players need to take into consideration of just how it looks. And like I said, you want to preach the love of the game and I just want to play and blah, 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 blah. Okay, put your money where your mouth is and go out there and play and take whatever deal they give you. That's fair enough. And in this situation, it's fair enough. So I think those two sports, they need to look at the MLB and say, yeah, we can't let that be us because it looks so bad.
Well, let's hope it doesn't spread into other sports, and you know, there's renegotiations or different when the seasons come up.
It will, and I'll say this too, it will kill. Sports are such a big industry, and I would say at an all-time high for just popularity-wise.
$1 trillion industry
all
here
of them.
in America, so
it will
combine all
that
of them. So.
This will kill it. Like this type of attitude and this end. And I'm a huge sports fan. I have been since I was 8. I would, and I'm not a big like, hey, you know, these guys are showing me their true colors. They're not in for love of the game, whatever. I know what I'm getting myself into when I watch pro sports, but at the same time, like, I mean, man, if it got to this level with all these sports, I'm out because, come on, man, like.
It's not worth it.
You got to be somewhat there for the fans. We're paying your salary.
Fans
here,
are the sport. I don't think sports are anything without the fans. And if you're not going to do anything to, I guess, cater to the fans, then what's the point? Like, you know, it's a spectator, you know, entertainment thing. So you're supposed to be.
And when is enough?
Else.
When are you going to? You know, when are you going to say, okay, even role players are making hundreds of thousands of dollars and sometimes millions of dollars. When are you going to say, all right, like, you know, that's good. I don't need
what's
to.
The point of
I don't need to
competing?
keep fighting to make more.
Yeah.
Like,
what's the point of competing if there's nobody around, too? Like,
well, and that's
if
the thing.
Nobody's into the sport, but like, what's
I
the
thought
point?
this is about competition. You know, you have some of the most competitive people on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, show that to me. And I think that's what's getting in the way in this situation is you're dealing with owners, super competitive people. That's why they're owners. That's why they got to where they are in life. And you have players who, same thing. That's why they got to where they are in life. So competitive. And it's a battle of these competitive people. Well, I can't. It's like the Michael Jordan mentality of just no matter what he's doing, he can't lose. He has to win.
Show your
and
competitiveness
that's what is
and
being
perform on the shortened season, too. Go out and show that you can do it in 50 games or 70 games or whatever, and compete and win in a
show that you have a love for the game or love of the sport.
Yeah, so
not a love for the money.
I think to sum it up, the MLB and the players are still very far away on what they agree to, so I don't expect a 2020 season to happen.
Oh, you think it's going to be canceled altogether?
I think they'll probably lock out just from some of the stuff that I've read and previous trends, but anything could happen, so I'm not ruling out that there is a very shortened season. But
I think
there's always that asterisk next to it that's like, okay, you played 50 games or whatever, or, you know, okay, but I would hope they get back out on the field and start playing. It'd be nice, but I don't know.
I don't want to say they're not going to play because, like, well, I don't want to say that's out of the realm of possibility because I didn't think canceling seasons like the NCAA tournament, I didn't think that was possible, and it happened. Obviously, that was different factors, but yeah, I know that's what this year is showing me. Yeah. Jeez, but I think they're gonna get it back on the field just because they're gonna realize, wow, look at how much money we've already lost, and look at how much money we're going to lose because of this. Look how bad this is gonna make everyone look. And I mean, if they lock out, they clearly haven't learned from history of any sport.
Wow.
So
I don't know. I think
I don't think they'll lock out. I think they'll get a deal done in I'm gonna say 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, but
not by Saturday though.
No, not by Saturday.
That's 2 days after recording this podcast.
If they announce something, so I'm gonna say Monday. You know, so after you guys listen to this because it's Weekendology, Monday. If I will be shocked if they announce something that quick.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Stay tuned to our Twitter. We'll be sure to update you guys.
There's going to be. I'm going to say. Well, I'll give you over under 4 proposals.
What are we at now? 2?
I'll say 4.5.
Is this 2 or 3?
I don't know.
I think this is the 3rd proposal. So
that sounds right. But
I'd say there's probably going to be 4 or 5. Yeah.
No, I'm saying 4 more.
Oh, more than 5?
Like no. Like from this point now, will there be 4.5 more proposals? Over
so
under?
More than I'd say maybe about another 3 or 4. So
okay, so you're taking the under.
Yeah, I'm taking the under.
I'll take the over. I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the next 2 weeks, because it seems like every 2 or 3 days they come out with another proposal. And it gets rejected.
If anything, 2020 has taught me is to expect the unexpected, and sometimes you can't even expect anything. So, stranger things have happened.
I never thought in my lifetime I'd see a world with 0 sports
in June.
Crazy. Well, I don't want to say
Stanley
0.
Cup was supposed to happen, and so was the finals for the NBA. And
hey, we got UFC, we got cornhole. Got Bundesliga.
Soccer's coming back.
Favorite.
Premier League's coming back next week. So.
Well, there you go. You're good.
I'll be fine.
You're in heaven.
I'll be fine. So,
have you been watching the Bundesliga?
Yeah, I always watch German league, man.
You got a team?
You
you always watch that?
Yeah, I like the Bundesliga.
What leagues do you watch? Like what? Name me the leagues.
German, English, and Spanish league.
Okay.
Sometimes French if they're playing, but they don't broadcast them that much. So
okay.
I used to watch
isn't there like an Italian
South American,
league?
Japanese, Italian league? Like I used to watch all of them, but they don't broadcast them all, so I can't do that. Sadly.
Wait, what did you used to watch them on?
I used to watch every league.
No, but what did you used to watch them on?
Like torrent sites or whatever.
Why don't you keep doing that now?
I don't want to blow up my computer.
Or isn't there streaming's gotten better, so wouldn't that mean you watch more? Because you can get all kinds of crazy
yeah, but I'd have to pay for subscription services, and I don't want to do that. So I don't want.
Now you're a law-abiding citizen. Now you're not.
I don't want 20 subscription services saying, "Well, I gotta pick and choose which leagues I gotta watch." So.
Man, that's crazy. That's a lot of leagues.
Well, it's worth it. So, but if you like what we talked about in this episode and want to continue the conversation afterwards, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, social media. We'd love to learn if you think the MLB is going to come back for a 2020 season. Are the players being too greedy? Are the owners too greedy? We want to hear from you. Be sure to check out our last episode where we talk about the return of music and concerts. Link for that will be in the description below. Stay tuned to our Twitter as well for some more updates to bringing you guys some fresh new content. We're going to be adding 2 new podcasts, one for dedicated to sports, like this one, and one to be dedicated to entertainment topics. We're still going to be keeping the original podcast as well to keep you up to date on all things we want to see changed and improved. But this way we can dial down on the subject matter and grow the brand, hopefully. So
grow the brand.
Check us out on Twitter. We're at Weekendology Pod. We're on YouTube at Weekendology Podcast. Don't forget to check out the Big Red World as well. They're on Twitter at Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org.
Yeah, they're still alive. They got
they're still going.
An assistant coach on there, so
yeah,
that's pretty cool of SLU.
I have been getting back into the house that Rick built. Good podcast.
I thought they were done because it's off season.
They keep going. Yeah, they had a video episode that they released recently too. So,
oh really?
Yeah, check them out.
Maybe we will too.
Maybe we will too. Yeah, so go check us out. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio. We have new episodes every Friday. So until next week, we'll see you guys next time.